We'll get started here in a second. We won't use that. So as you can see, we can see how many people are tuned in. We already have a watcher here. And I'm here with Christen Wood. My name is John Gonzalez. I work in our communication department here at the Regional Sewer District. We're just getting started here, and I'm going to be asking 5 questions for Christen Wood, who, if you don't know her, you should. She is what we call, she calls herself Sewer Chick on Twitter, and she has been a great foundation for us for a lot of our informational videos here at the Sewer District. You can check a lot of her work out at neorsd.org/quick-clips, and you'll see a series of videos in which she stars and kind of talks more about the work that she does, right?
Yeah.
And it's been good having Christen available to do that work with us. So what we're doing here today, we're going to ask 5 quick questions for Christen. And so the first question, Christen, is how did you get started in wastewater treatment? Tell us about your history here.
It's been a long and interesting journey. It definitely wasn't something that I always planned to do. I went to school for biology and chemistry, and when I graduated, I got a job at Ruby Tuesday, which was not
that's a plug. That's a plug for Ruby Tuesday?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they did give me a chance when no one else would, but it was definitely not what I was interested in, and I was not very good at it. So I went to work for my dad, who sells office supplies, which is also not what I had planned to do, but again, thanks Dad for giving me a chance. And the local newspaper ran a series of articles on some of the problems that our local population was having with their education and jobs. And I wrote to the guy that was writing these articles, and I told him, thank you for sharing this. And he said, well, why don't I take your photo for the next one that's coming up? And I said, sure. And the day that article ran, the wastewater treatment plant in Ashtabula gave me a call and asked me to apply for their laboratory position. So I actually spent the beginning of my career, 4 years, doing laboratory wastewater work. And then I transferred over to operations, and I've been in love ever since.
Okay, so question number 1 is kind of how you got started. Question number 2 is, what does your day include? So when you're here for a 12-hour shift, what does an average a day include for you?
First of all, there is no such thing as an average day in what I do. We have set routines that we go through to ensure that the equipment is operating properly, that all of our EPA permit requirements are being met, and that the microorganisms and things like that are behaving the way that they should. Now, that's just a boring day. At any given time, I could be called right now and told that there is something that needs done, and I would have to run and do it. That's basically what I do, is being on call for 12 hours.
And if you're on call, I'll follow you with the camera.
Excellent.
We'll live broadcast the actual
broadcast.
call, because you never know what could happen. Okay.
Well, hopefully we don't have any emergencies, but that's what I'm here for.
So an operator's day can be anything from a normal routine to completely out of the ordinary.
Absolutely. For any of you Fitbit users, I average anything from 6,000 steps today to 40,000 steps per day in my 12-hour day here at work without doing anything else.
So that has now put everybody to shame. 40,000 steps in a day is very impressive. So question number 3 then is, what, let's see, I would definitely want to ask you, what's some of the craziest work you've had to do here to help keep our water clean? That's ultimately what your job is, to keep our water clean before it goes back to the environment. So what's some of the craziest stuff you've had to do to help make that possible here?
Well, ideally, I come into work and hopefully don't have to do anything crazy, because we are monitoring to try to be ahead of the curve. I have had some bad experiences where pumps have exploded, and the shutoff valve is between me and the pump that has exploded, and so I'm staring at a wall of sludge and knowing that I have to go in there.
And sludge is exactly what you think it is.
Yes.
Sludge is the solid waste left over from the treatment process.
Yes.
Not very friendly.
No, it's not my favorite thing to wear, but I have done it more than once, and I will probably have to do it again.
And if you're following us on Twitter, you'll probably seen some of those images, and I think Christen has many more she hasn't shared, so I have to make sure that we get some of those for future use. So question number 4 I'll ask then is what many people, when they flush their toilet, they know the water goes somewhere, they don't think about it. It comes here. Beyond that wastewater, there's also storm water that's coming in through our combined sewer system. How does a storm affect the kind of work you have to do here at the treatment plant?
Rainfall is actually one of the hardest things that we have to do as operators here, because the water that comes into our plant is here, and we have to deal with it no matter what that volume is. So A lot of our equipment upgrades that we've been doing recently are to make it easier for us to treat that water, but when it starts to rain, we always have to think a lot about whether it's a drizzle or a downpour. Is very different in the order of operations, as far as how fast you run to the tanks or how many tanks that you put in. And it's also, an extended rainstorm is also very different from a 30-minute downburst. So balancing all of that as it comes in the plant, we have lots of different ways that we can route the flow, but it's kind of a blending of art and science as far as how many gallons I can send any direction, as well as, you know, trying to figure out where those gallons are going to come from before they're even here, before I can see them and make sure that they get someplace safely.
So there's a lot of lessons you can learn from a book, but also just having the experience is something you really can't account for.
Absolutely, especially a place as massive as Southerly.
And how big is Southerly for those watching?
Our average daily flow is about 120 million gallons. We currently have a max capacity, fully treated, of 400 million gallons, and we can also bypass about another 600 million gallons that gets primary treatment only. And we're currently doing upgrades to be able to do full treatment up to 615 million gallons a day. And that compares to, you know, a lot of the smaller places. I started in Ashtabula where we did 3.5 million gallons, and that was their entire city, was 3.5 million gallons.
The numbers help to kind of put that into perspective. Upgrades, yes, upgrades are certainly something that we're working on. And I saw somebody else said that Christen rocks, and I agree with that completely. So
Thanks.
Thank you for that. So that was question number 4, and I think I probably added a couple informal questions between that. The last question I'll ask is, what is the question that you receive most often? When you talk to people about your work, whether they be students or adults, family members, what's the question that you get most often about the work that you do?
They really want to know if it stinks, to be honest, and it does when it gets here. Now, my job is to take it from the stinky stuff and turn it into the clean stuff. So sometimes people are really shocked when I show them the side-by-side samples of what comes into Southerly and what goes out of Southerly, and all the work that we've done in between to make it absolutely pristine, clear river water.
And that visual is a great amount of, I'm just changing my settings here. That visual is a great one that we'll have maybe the next time we have a video, next time we have to do a Periscope, to kind of show you that side-by-side comparison, what comes in and what goes out. Two completely different jars full of solids, and then the clean water that comes out. It's an amazing comparison. And you do use that a lot when you're talking to kids and adults alike.
Absolutely.
I think that's about it. That's all 5 questions plus a few extras. You can follow us on Twitter at NEORSD. You can also follow Christen, who is one of our unofficial spokespersons. We work with her quite a bit on projects like this, and we appreciate that. Do you mind if people follow you at Sewer Chick?
Absolutely. It's Sewer_Chick.
Very good.
With a C.
C-H-I-C. You can see it in the title of our video here today. Again, my name is John Gonzalez. Hope you follow us. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll check back in here again soon. Thanks.
Thanks.
Still broadcasting.